Hey, what's up? This is David Draiman from Disturbed. You're watching Loudwire. Nothing made the timing right other than us having the desire to come back. It's as simple as that. We could look at any number of variables, economic indicators, graphs, charts, statistics, whatever you want. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, it comes down to, do we have the desire? Do we have the drive to get back out there? Are we ready as a band? People make their own destinies. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing from people, whether it's Gene or anybody else, and I respect Gene, don't get me wrong. I think, you know, Destroyer was the first rock record I ever bought. I'm a huge Kiss fan. I appreciate his business acumen. But when you continually try to, you know, cut the head off the very thing that gives you life, what the hell are you doing? You know, I don't think rock is dead by any means, and if we have anything to do with it, we're going to pump life support into this thing as much as possible, which I don't even think it needs. I don't think it's on life support. You know, I've said in other articles, you know, if you want, I'll forward you a link. The Spotify report that was just put out recently that shows hard rock and heavy metal fans to be the most dedicated, the most involved fan base on the entire streaming network. The fact that alt metal is actually at the top of those genres and that we're at the top of alt metal. The fact that if you look at global touring proceeds and global touring draws, that hard rock and heavy metal festivals and tours are still outdrawing every single other genre on the planet. Doesn't look dead to me. So everybody who's so, it's just a very tasty little press snippet. You know, oh yeah, let's go ahead and bring up the old notion that rock is dead, rock is dead. Nothing is over until we say it is. And there's always going to be a fan base out there that has a desire for more aggressive music, darker music, something that they can sink their teeth into, a little bit more satisfying. That's never going to go away, no matter how much the naysayers want to go ahead and try and beat it into submission. We're going to keep roaring back. It's like, you know, they used to say in the old Porsche commercials, there is no substitute. There really isn't. And to a certain extent, not that we sacrificed anything or compromised anything on the prior records. They were, you know, powerful and I love them. But there definitely is something that you can't put a price on, and that is just so inspiring when myself and Danny and Mike get into a room together and we start creating. The chemistry is undeniable. The vibe is undeniable. And every time we spend the time, we come out of those sessions with some great stuff. It's never wasted. And that's, in and of itself, an anomaly. We're very, very blessed to have found one another. I'm very blessed to have found the, you know, the Joe Perry to my Steven Tyler, so to speak. And I think that this whole writing process was a period of rediscovery for us. It's just tremendously inspiring. And I don't think we're ever going to go back to relying on technology as much as we did in the past. It's pretty blatant. We're barraged by more information than we can even digest these days. You know, the internet has and technology have brought us an awareness of things going on this planet that is more all-encompassing than we've ever been privy to in the history of humanity. So it can be crushing at times. You know, it can be almost too much to handle. And when you see the chaos that is enveloping this planet, when you see people preying upon one another, when you see the media, you know, fanning the flames of war all over the face of this planet for their own selfish ends, it's a frightening time to be alive. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've always had frightening times to be alive. People forget about, you know, the Dark Ages and the Black Plague and things like that, you know, back in the day. But I think our awareness makes it that much more vivid and much more, more difficult to swallow. It becomes that much heavier for us to deal with. So this song definitely seems to be chillingly appropriate for today's times. Go figure, Disturbed songs with an air of positivity. Who would have ever thought? You know, the only way that you get to appreciate the darkness is by contrasting it with light. I think that people have utilized our music in particular to get them through the difficult periods in their lives, to triumph against adversity, to overcome obstacles. And it's been my experience with people in my life or friends that I've, you know, that I have or have had, that sometimes those periods in our lives that are dark ones can be so daunting, and you let them overwhelm you to the extent that you succumb to hopelessness and you succumb to, you know, stagnation. And the truth be told is that everything's a pathway. And sometimes you have to go through dark periods in your life in order to find the answer that you need, in order to become stronger, in order to see the light, per se. And it's just putting things in that perspective. That song was actually the very first song that was both written and recorded for this entire session. So it was, because it was as different as it is, and because it is as different as it is, that was one of the first ones that I was like, I'm not so sure. I mean, I recognize that it's a big hook, but stylistically, how do I, you know, can I come to terms with this? And that was another one of the reasons that made me want to go out to Chicago to get in front of the guys and throw some of these ideas at them in person. You know, some of the things that helped reassure me.